In today's video, I'm going to share an important tip with you that will keep your BetterPress platen and chase free of ink stains. Hi everyone, I'm Kathya, and if you're new here, welcome to my channel and Happy New Year everyone. I purchased my BetterPress a few months ago and I never had a chance to experiment with it. My full-time job has kept me busy, and with holiday prep in full swing, I just didn't get a chance to play with it. I did watch some other YouTube creators use it, and I came up with some ideas to protect the platforms for myself, and I thought it would be helpful for me to share them with you. So a lot of people on YouTube have done some unboxing videos, so I'm not going to really do that and go into a lot of detail about what's in the BetterPress kit because so many people have done that, but I'm just going to share a couple of press plates that I use. This one's called the Pressed Bouquet by Spellbinders, and I'm going to use the die or the press plate that came with the kit, and just going to share with you some tips along the way that I found helpful for myself after watching so many other YouTube creators create on screen and ink up their plates and run them through their die cut machines, that sort of thing. So stay tuned. I'm going to give you some tips that I think will help you. So the BetterPress comes with these three pieces or colors of heavyweight cotton cardstock: gray, cream, and white. And it comes with the yellow tape and one small sample of the BetterPress ink, which is formulated to work with your press plates. It also comes with this platen, and it comes with a film on top of it you're supposed to take off, but I actually wind up leaving this on, and you'll see along the way why I found it so helpful, and I think you will too. Now, the entire press plate system came wrapped in this plastic, and all I'm going to do is trim this bag, and I'm going to have two pieces to put directly on the chase, which is the gray plate that you see in front. I'm going to just trim it to size, and I won't bore you with all the cutting, but I'm going to trim it, and then I'm going to tape it directly to that gray chase platform. So all I did here was take a pen and took one piece or one side of that plastic wrap, because I trimmed it so that I could cut it apart and have two. All I did was trim around on the inside of this black tracing, and then I just used some regular Scotch tape that you see in the upper left-hand corner, and then I taped it directly to the chase. So I unwrapped the paper, the cotton paper, and I'm using a piece of white here, and on all four corners I'm using my favorite dot runner using a permanent adhesive right directly on that platen. And I'm not worried about it not coming off because that plastic will help it not stick. It's just such a very small amount, and I didn't unstick it by putting it on my fingers or my hands or clothing or anything to get some of the stick off. I just left it at full strength, and this is just my first time testing it out, so we'll see how this goes. So in this portion of the video, I'm actually just using the press plate that comes with the machine, or I should say the system, and I'm using the press plate, the small sentiment press plate that goes with the American version. So there are two types of versions of that sentiment. One says favorite with an OU for the United Kingdom, and on how they spell that word, and then one for the American version. So I'm using the American version, and I'm doing the same thing, tap, tap, tap with my ink and making sure that I get all parts of the press plate. And the reason why I'm keeping this in here is because I want to show you that I do get ink on the plastic piece that's covering the chase. And I wanted to show you how nice and easy it is to clean that up, because you don't even need anything like a solvent or anything like that, or cleaner or baby wipe. You can just wipe it with a paper towel, and that's what I'm going to show you here. So I'm going to just take a dry paper towel. I'm going to show you up close here. See that ink there on the side? I'm just going to wipe it up, and what I love about this is I don't get any stains. And I also want you to stick around throughout the video because I want to share with you some other ideas in case you didn't happen to keep the packaging. So I'm putting that clear plate on top of the chase, and here you can notice that that clear plate is just hovering with the design on top. It's not touching the press plate. It only will touch the press plate once you run it through your die cut machine. So I'm just running it through. This is my first time, so I'm not going to speed this up. I'm actually just going to run it real time so that you and I can see how it looks once we pull the top clear plate off to reveal the design. And I have to say, when people say the first time is the perfect time, it really, I mean, it really is. Look at that. That's such a gorgeous design. And you can really see in person how that makes a beautiful letterpress impression. It's hard to pick up on camera, but trust me, it's there. And when people tell you to trust them, you should, because it's absolutely beautiful. I did decide to run this through a second time, and I dropped it here and I thought, oh my gosh, it's going to be ruined. But indeed it wasn't. There was not even a speck of ink on it elsewhere. And look at how beautiful that is. That is much darker, really beautiful, and it's foolproof in my opinion. I think what's really cool about this BetterPress system is that other companies are joining forces with Spellbinders and creating their own press plates to work with the Spellbinder system, and I love that. So different companies that you like, if you like their designs, you can certainly purchase those and they will work with this BetterPress system. So I left this in here because I wanted to share with you. I'm using a rag and I'm spraying some rubbing alcohol on the paper towel and pressing it onto the press plate that has ink so that I can remove it and go on with a different color. But here's what I recommend. Don't even waste your time doing that. Just take the press plate off of your chase and remove it and go run it under some warm water or cold water, and that will remove the ink very easily. And then you can just damp, or you can dry it off with a clean cloth, or you can just use a piece of paper towel. And this is especially helpful when you want to switch from one color to the other, like say a dark color, black, blue or something, and then you want to go to a lighter color like orange or a different one. I highly recommend doing that instead of trying to wipe it with a cloth while it's on the chase. Now I did want to test out some other inks. So up in the left-hand corner, you can see I'm going to be using Catherine Pooler's Juniper Mist, which is a deep, rich blue. It's absolutely beautiful. I figured I would try that and work my way down from the color family from black to dark blue and then lighter as we go along. So I really messed up the plastic that you see on the chase right here, but I'm going to leave it in here because I tried to do this epic fail mission where I tried to use my little magnet that was on the back of the ink pad to make it easier for me to tap onto, but the plastic that is sitting on top of the chase is not completely flat, so ink went everywhere. And a lot of you say, please leave your mistakes in the video. So this is me leaving my mistake in the video so you can avoid any mistakes that I made. Anyway, this didn't work. I wound up taking the ink pad off of that magnet tool and just pressing it on there directly. And as you can see, I have ink all over the place. I get most of the ink off, but I forgot to clean off one area and it ruined my design, but I'll wind up saving that particular project because I can fussy cut around the flowers and the sentiment and use it on another card. So after spending a little time cleaning, I still missed part of the ink that was in the upper left-hand corner where you see the A2, and you will see that ink come onto my design, and I use a sand eraser to try to erase it away, and that really just didn't work because the paper is a different blend. It's a cotton blend, so it really showed the erasing marks. And so I just gave it up and I thought I'm going to save the flower because it's really a gorgeous design and I will save it for another project by fussy cutting it. So as you can see, when I lift this plate up, you'll see that ink was right there on the upper right-hand corner there. And like I said, there's no amount of erasing with my sand eraser that was going to take this out. So like I said, I'm just going to save this flower and I'm going to fussy cut around it because it doesn't look too complicated or detailed. And then I'm going to cut out the sentiment as well too and put that on another card project. So I wanted to show you a side-by-side comparison. The BetterPress black ink is on the left and the blue from Juniper Blue is on the right from Catherine Pooler. And I really think that the formulation of ink is really important. However, if you use an ink that has a very firm pad, you won't have any issues. But with the Catherine Pooler inks, you have to really use a very light tapping motion. Again here, you'll see me use the rubbing alcohol that's in this bottle, and I spray the press plates here, and I highly recommend that you just take the press plate off of the chase and just go run it under some cold water and then dry it with a paper towel or a cloth. So the clear plastic wrap that I have on the chase and the one I left on the platen, they are both still going strong. So I'm going to be using another press plate here. I think this is called the Floral Bouquet or something like that. from Spellbinders, and I'm going to use some different inks with it as well. Okay, so now I'm using the Pressed Bouquet press plate from Spellbinders that's already there on the chase, and I'm adding more adhesive dot runner. Now this whole plastic piece that is sitting directly on top of the platen is going strong. I'm repeatedly using it. I'm not having any paper drop off of it. It's working beautifully, and it's really easy to remove, so I really love it. So I'm just tapping this, and I sped this up a little bit because nobody needs to see real time of tapping ink onto a press plate, right? So I'm just tapping on the ink, and this time I'm going to actually do what I saw a couple of other YouTube creators do, which is to take this particular design and put it in one corner, and then once you re-ink the press plate, ink it up and then put it on the opposite corner, and I just love that. And this design is really stunning as well too. I love florals and I love nature, that sort of thing. So these are going to be really fun to turn into cards. So now I'm going to re-ink the press plate with the same black ink, and I'm going to do this rather quickly, and then I'm going to flip the plate around so that the design goes in the opposite corner, and you will see that the floral image overlaps each other right in the center, but I'm not worried about that because I'm going to put some die cut elements on the front in the center that will cover up the overlapping of any of the florals. So as you see, the image is right on the lower right hand corner, and I'm just flipping my platen around so that the design goes in the opposite corner. And then the result of this design, this is the first one I did. I was just so overwhelmed with how incredibly beautiful and easy it is. It's so easy to make gorgeous card fronts by just leaving this design as is and then putting on a sentiment right across the front of that. But watch how easy this is to remove from that plate right there. It just comes off easily. There's no residue left on the plastic on the plate, but the design is perfect. And then I can wipe this plate clean because it still has that plastic cling film on top of it, and it wipes off just very easily. So you could use a baby wipe, you could just use a piece of paper towel dampened with some water. I'm using the rubbing alcohol because that's what I had on my desk, but you don't need to use that. And it just cleans up really easily. And then I'm going to share some tips with you after I run this through on different things that you can use in case you didn't happen to keep any of the packaging with your BetterPress system. So I'll just let you know I had some technical difficulties because the video that I shot prior to this using the same footage you're watching right now had a corrupt video, and I spent the better half of like a day and a half trying to upload the footage, and I finally just scratched the whole thing and I started all over. So this is my second time recording a voiceover for the same footage, but I'm reducing it down. Suffice to say, I did use Catherine Pooler inks for a lot of these different designs, but I'm going to edit this video down so it's not quite so long because I had really just so many frustrating problems uploading it. So while you watch me ooh and ah over the beautiful results while I use different inks here, let me just tell you that if you decide to go with the BetterPress, I highly recommend checking it out if it's something that you might be interested in. Even if you're not really into flowers, that sort of thing, just keep in mind that other companies are partnering with Spellbinders to give us different designs that we can use. So if, for example, if you love Altenew or you love, a different company like Simon Says Stamp, their brands, they are working with Spellbinders to provide press plates that actually have their designs but work with the BetterPress system. So stick around because in another scene I'm going to share with you some other tips that you can use to protect your BetterPress platen and chase. So hard to get used to those two words, but you know what I'm talking about here. So again, the easiest thing for you to do is to take the plate and run it under water. And with this particular color, I used Catherine Pooler's Eucalyptus Green, and I'll put a sentiment straight across the middle. And I'll share with you all of the card designs I came up with once I'm finished running the plates through the system so you can get a look at all the different colors that I used. So I wanted to leave another mistake that I left in the video for you to see. I'm using this gold pigment ink pad, but mind you, before I started using this, I used London Fog Memento Gray. I think it's London Fog or something like that is the color. You'll see it on the screen here shortly. But I used that one first, and I looked at the press plate and thought, this is kind of too light, or maybe the ink isn't transferring. I don't have a juicy ink pad, so I'm just going to wipe it clean and then use another color. This time I did not run the press plate under water, which would have alleviated the color difference that you'll see here. But I left this in here because everybody says they like to see mistakes that seasoned crafters make, and trust me when I tell you I make them all the time. So I'm going to run this run it through my embossing die cutting machine here, and look at the color that you see here. Do you see that color on the lower left? Of course, you can't miss it. Well, I thought, wow, this is such a pretty design. Maybe I'll go back and try that London fog one more time and then see if I can kind of correct it. So I grabbed the London fog ink that I have right now on the screen, and I'm tapping it on the design. And I'm going to keep my fingers crossed that when I put this and run it through my die cut machine that it fixes the whole design, because it's really just luxurious paper and gorgeous design. I didn't want to waste it. And look at that. That is not too shabby. Even though it's a little bit darker where the leaves are, nobody would be the wiser just knowing that you made a mistake. And again, lifting this off of the plastic wrap that's on that plate is just easy. This was like my 4th or 5th design. I'll share the finished card projects with you in a minute, but here, first of all, I wanted to share with you. So let's say you didn't save the packaging for, the method that I'm showing you here to protect both of the plates that you have in here, the gray one, the chase, and the platen, the clear one here. Let's say you didn't save that. You can use transparency film. So I recommend using the very smooth side for both pieces, just so that you don't get any ink transferred and trapped there. But you could just cut one piece of a slide transparency film, on one side, and then take another piece and cut it to size to fit the chase. And I think that would work really well because it will stay flat, not like the plastic I have currently on that I will probably discard, and I'll demonstrate the transparency film in another video. But say you don't have any transparency film, I also wanted to give you some ideas that you could use if you don't have that. You could use cut apart a laminating pouch. A lot of us have laminators, and use one pouch on both of the platen and the chase. So just snip it at the bottom where it's adhered together, and then you can use both pieces of that. You could also use parchment paper. You could use wax paper or even vellum. Here are my final card projects. For this particular design, I decided to break out my Prismacolor pencil set that I have had in my stash for years and hardly ever used them, but I thought it would be fun to give them a try on this small design. So I just used some various colors here to color the leaves and the florals, and I love how it turned out. And I just used very light pressure with this particular pencil because they're very pigmented, and I barely had to use any pressure at all to get such beautiful color. Now that orange that you see framing the happy birthday, I didn't have a cardstock to match that, so I used these dies, and I actually colored that particular outer layer with Catherine Pooler's Flame ink pad. And then I heat set it really quickly, put a white one on top, and stamped Happy Birthday. And that Happy Birthday is from a Hero Arts stamp set that I've had in my stash forever. And I'll show you the actual stamp set here in just a second. The second one is using the eucalyptus ink pad for this particular design. And I just left the floral images just as they are because I think they're so stunning. But I did add some embellishments around the card. This next design was easy to do. I didn't even break out watercolors. I stamped this design in orange, the color called Flame that you see here on the left. I stamped and did the press plate in flame color, and then I came in and used the flame and the eucalyptus, stamped both of those on my glass mat, and sprayed with a little bit of water and watercolored. And so here are the final designs of all the ones I created. There's a blue one here that I didn't have a chance to show you a close-up of, but I just put a beautiful design from Spellbinders and stamped Happy Birthday in blue to match the ink there. And these are my final card projects. I would love to know which one you like best, or if you even have the BetterPress system, or share any tips or tricks down below so everybody else can gain from your experience. Anyway, that's it. Ciao for now. See you next time.